Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. So I thought it was time for a little shameless self-promotion, and I wanted to go through all the free stuff that you can get on my blog today on Greyhawk Grognard. So over the years, I've written a bunch of stuff for Greyhawk, obviously. And I've been trying to make all of that stuff available on my blog, greyhawkgrognard.com, for free over the years. And I thought it would be fun to go through it because a lot of times people, who watch the channel, don't really realize that all this stuff is out there on the site or that even there is a site. I thought it would be a nice change of pace just to do this. I normally don't feel good about this sort of thing, but enough people mention it in the comments, when I talk about other people's Greyhawk stuff that, every once in a while I figure it can't hurt. Now, the first thing I've got up there are several adventure modules, and all this stuff is done through the fan content policy, so it's all completely free. You don't need to do anything. It's just you go to the free resources page on the website, and you just go. It's www.greyhawkgrognard.com. There is a link below. Go to the free resources page, link at the top, and you'll see all this stuff there. And I've got some modules, and somebody was kind enough to print some of these out for me. They're not available; nothing's available for print. It's all PDFs. You can print it yourself for yourself. You can't sell it, obviously. But somebody was kind enough to print out several of my things, and I thought that was really cool. First one up is module T0, The Journey to Hamlet. This is something I wrote as kind of a prelude to the Temple of Elemental Evil, Village to Hamlet modules. It's basically a trip through the gnarly forest where the PCs have some opportunities to meet the bandits. And the idea is that the journey through the gnarly forest is to give them a way to know that there are factions within the temple. It's an opportunity. It's also not an easy thing. I've run it and had TPKs because the players didn't know when to run away. So it's not a cakewalk by any stretch. But it is a fun little thing, and it does get your players from the Wild Coast to Omelet, which is the setup for it. There is also on the website, and I don't have a printout of it, a P5, which is beneath the Temple of Elemental Evil, and this is something I wrote. This was one of my first efforts. It's basically a new sub level that has a Temple of the Eye in the Temple of Elemental Evil. There's actually one already, but it's not kind of like an active temple. The interdicted Fane of Lolth, the interdicted uh, um, layer of Zuktmoy uh, is actually a former Temple of the Eye. But if you wanted to have one that was active and you could actually summon the Eye, and it would work kind of like the ones you see in Vault of the Drow and Hall of the Fire Giant King, there's an active temple with the the weird effects and everything like that. You can do that. It also gives some random tables on how to make other temples of the eye that do different things and you do different things. So it's kind of a nice little doodad. Um, there is also this G1A that I did done the lower caverns of the steading of the Hill Giant Chief. And this is basically an expansion of one of the things in G1 where it says there's basically some caverns under here, and the DM can map them out if you want. There's nothing really important down there. But there's also that ruined temple, which is another temple of the eye. I really like that Elder Elemental God theme and incorporating it into the modules a lot more strong, a lot more strongly. And so this expands that out, and it expands some of the caverns under the steading, and it's got a nice little map and all that good stuff. So it's just a neat way of if your players want a little more to do down there. There's also this. This is probably my favorite of the bunch. This is the one I'm most proud of. City of Spiders. This is an urban adventure in Errol Kinlu. which is the city in Vault of the Drow. And this also kind of steers the PCs because if in the published module, it's a great environment, but they don't really tell you what to do with it. There's no real direction for the PCs. So this lets the PCs kind of uh, s- uh, stay in the city, in the foreign quarter, in the slums, and they're sent on some missions by a sage and so forth. And there's lots of political intrigue and things like that. And it kind of gives the PCs some direction as to where to go, and the fact that there are these factions amongst the Drow, and how would you go forward, and the idea is you want to stop the other elemental god, but at the same time Lolth is also a big problem, and that kind of aims you at another module that's up there, which I don't have a printout of, Q2, which is the Web of Souls. And this is my replacement for Q1. I didn't like Q1 with the mechanical spider and the really lame map. So this redoes the concept basically of Lolth is getting ready to invade the material plane with the armies and so forth. There are those themes are still in there, and there's certain gates to different worlds and so forth. But the focus is she's going to be invading, or she's going to be invading the Flanaess. So that gives the idea a lot more immediacy, and it raises the stakes for the players. There's also in there the prison of the Elder Elemental God, which is propped open just a little bit, which is how he's able to send energy and spells and so forth to the material plane. So the PCs in the web, there are some allies that they can find there, and there's ways to figure out the mystery of how they can stop both Lolth and the Elder Elemental God at the same time, which was Gary's original concept for the capstone of the adventure series. And when it got handed off to the other writers, that never materialized. It became what we saw. So this was my attempt to kind of take another bite at the apple. So those are the adventures that are up there. There's a ton of 5th edition Greyhawk, and I did a whole video on 5e Greyhawk a while ago, and it's a lot of people don't particularly care for it. Fine, that's your prerogative, but a lot of people do. It's what most people play, like it or not. And there's about 900 pages of 5e Greyhawk stuff up there. There's a whole DM's guide, which is kind of a mini introduction to the setting. There's factions and organizations, custom cleric stuff. There's feats, player options like backgrounds and races and so forth. There's magic items, and famous wizards with a whole bunch of new magic spells. All this stuff, well, most of this stuff is based on material that came earlier, stuff from various, like from the Ashes, and there's the custom clerics that have been introduced ever since the Gold Box, the Greyhawk Adventures hardcover book. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I kind of took a lot of it and upgraded it to 5th edition. For those folks who like it. There's a whole new thing I've done, a series of articles in what I call Dragonne Magazine. And it's kind of like an alternate universe thing. It's just a little bit of fun. It never existed, by the way. And I use that as kind of a vehicle for smaller articles or series of articles that don't really fit into any other format. One I did was Armies of Greyhawk, which was a series of articles that basically break down all the different armed armies and fleets and stuff like that of the well, not the fleets, but the armies of the various nations of the Flanaess around the 577 578 time frame. And it takes a lot of stuff from the Gold Box, and it takes a lot of stuff from the Greyhawk Wars. You can and from the State of the Flanaess articles that Gary did in Dragonne Magazine. Kind of takes all that stuff together and comes up with the armies. And I'm using this as the basis for my war game, my miniatures war game, which is going to be. I'm going to be running a lot of stuff at conventions using this, and if it works out, I'll put the rules up there too. But I found I needed this to kind of get a sense of the scale of the militaries of the various nations, for this minis game. I did a series of stuff on the Baklunish Basin. It was basically an an extension of the gold box, the Flyness gold box, and it's got big maps. Um, it's got an extension of the Gazetteer, so you have outlines of all the nations and so forth. It's got one article just on the Paynims and where the tribes are and how they migrate in the summer and the winter and so forth. And it's got monsters, and it's got a new class, the Rashaw, which is a clerical subclass for the Baklunish Pantheon, which with the Baklunish Pantheon is also greatly extended beyond the handful of deities that we saw in the gold box. And I based that a lot on pre-Islamic Arabian polytheism, which it was a lot of fun to delve into that. But I tried to keep it in keeping with the Flyness, with the world of Greyhawk, obviously, so it's very fancified, and I didn't take anything verbatim. And I also wanted to expand things out so that you get a feel that there is an interconnected world beyond the Flyness out there. So I wanted to bring in a lot of elements from other places. I did the same sort of thing with Zihindia. Zihindia is kind of the analog of India in our world. In the Dragon Annual 1 map, it's called Zindia, which I thought was just too plain, so I threw an extra letter in there, and Zihindia sounds a little better to me anyway. And it basically does the same thing that the Baklunish series did. There's a new map that extends out the Darlene map past the Sea of Dust. There's a new piece of the Gazetteer that maps out all the different nations and so forth. There's new gods. There's a whole new pantheon. But what I wanted to do was I included a lot of Sul influence, because my theory is that the Sul not only went eastward into the Flyness when the Reign of Colorless Fire destroyed the Sul Imperium, but they also went south into Zihindia, kind of analogous to the Aryan migration theory in modern India, well, in ancient India, I should say. Um, and so that you have the Sul have come in and established themselves in Zihindia, and so they brought in a lot of their deities and so forth who now coexist with the Zihindian deities, which have a lot of fun stuff. The temples that they're in can actually fly around, and there's a whole bunch of wacky stuff I got from various sources. And it's also got gods of the rivers who are demigods who are associated with the big rivers in there, who are physically present on the land and so forth. There's a lot of fun, and of course it's got monsters and a ton of new spells. Uh, it's got clerical subclasses, and there's a split class. I think the yogi is what I called it. And so there's a lot of a lot of cool stuff in there if you wanted to expand out your campaign, or maybe just have your characters visit there and adventure around. And there's some other miscellaneous stuff. I did an article on famous swords in the Flyness, kind of like those old Ed Greenwood articles in Dragon, but before they had published the Forgotten Realms. Um, I did a warrior monk class, which I wanted to use for my Scarlet Brotherhood, so that they weren't so much like the Oriental monks. Um, there's demi-humans with a bunch of articles on different magics, elven spells, non-human paragon. So, like, what happens when you max out at your level? You can become what's called a paragon, and it's a little boost for those characters who can't go up in level anymore, at least in first edition. And it's still nice to give them something for the achievement. So there's other little things in there too that I like. I'm starting to do a series on specialty clerics in the Flyness. The first one came out in January. I'm almost done with the second one, and they'll start coming out a little faster once I'm done with my other big project that I'm working on at the moment. Um, so I think that's all of the major stuff. I'm just going through the page. That's why I'm looking off to my right here. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. did a short story, which is up there, and my maps of the city of Greyhawk, which are based on the diagram that's in one of Gary's collections of short stories for Gord the Rogue. I basically did that, and you can use that map with the blue City of Greyhawk books. The key will work with the new maps, so but it'll feel a lot more like the original. So anyway, that's what I've got up there. So do feel free to take a look, download whatever you want. I'd ask you not to, distribute it willy nilly, but feel free to, send people the link if you see something that you think they'd be interested in. So, anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little overview of the free stuff that's out there. It's just kind of my gift to the Greyhawk community because I just love the setting so much and I want to give back. So here it is. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Have a great weekend and stay safe from Pinkertons. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.